Welcome to Let's Face the Facts. I'm David Almeida, and I'm your host for this rewatch podcast for the classic sitcom The Facts of Life. I'm an actor in Orlando, Florida, and every week I bring you some of the greatest talent in the Central Florida arts community. Join us as we synopsize, analyze, criticize, and ultimately idolize the show, episode by episode. Well, hi there again. Welcome back. Another show, another week, another Wednesday. Thank you so much for downloading and for pressing play. Got a great show for you. My guest is a returning favorite of mine, Trenell Mooring, an amazing actress, funny lady, just awesome person. And we watched season 5, episode 15, called Crossing the Line, which had an original air date of January 11th, 1984. And it is, for all intents and purposes, the racism-themed show. Not too deep or heavy, but it is there. And so since Trenell is my African-American friend, and she has said many times she loves being on the shows that have racial stuff on them, she and I get into some great discussions. We talk about current events, and I'm really, really happy with how it came out. So I'm going to get right to it, guys. Let's face the facts with Trenell Mooring. Ladies and gentlemen, she's back, and this time it's personal. Broadcasting all the way from a shed in an abandoned piece of property somewhere near the University of Central Florida, it's Trenell Mooring!
I'm here in Seminole County, Oviedo, Florida, in my she shed, which I'm doing all my Zoom. Like, every time I do a Zoom, people are like, she's in that shed again.
Yep. Well, you should be. It's your home away from home, yes. And it's very new. You've laid out the saga of this she shed as you've built it up on your Facebook. It's hilarious and so inspiring and gorgeous, I will add.
Thank you. It's getting a little more messy these days. So, but
now that you're actually using it,
yeah,
just for show. Yeah. Well, you are back after. Do you remember when the last time was that you were here?
I do remember. I'm trying to remember the show. It was like when Blair found out that her, I don't know, dad or something, just someone real recent that was like in the Klan or didn't.
It was her grandfather, Carlton Blair, for whom they were about to name the new Eastland Library.
Yes.
That episode was season 3, episode 11.
Wow.
So we are 2 years on in the life of the show.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the funny thing. You and I are recording this on July 30th. That episode dropped on July 31st of 2019.
Oh, my goodness.
It's almost exactly a year to the day, but not really, because that's the drop date versus the record date and all that stuff. Anyhow,
yeah, but it means something. It means something.
It means something. We do not know what it is, but it means something. And, by the way, before we start, something I have to thank you for and attribute to you. I do not know if I ever used the phrase, read the room, before you were on the show with Molly's Holiday. That was the first episode you did. That was back in January of last year. But you were talking about the fact that Molly was sitting there pouting, and everyone is getting ready to leave and pack, and Mrs. Garrett is screaming, let's go. And it's like, do you not see that there's a problem that needs to be addressed here?
This little redheaded moppet is sitting here looking so sad.
And when you came out with Read the Room, it has come back so often, and I say it so much on this show, and I don't think it was one of those phrases that I normally used in life, let alone on the show before you. So it comes up a lot. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I am happy to assist you in building your lexicon.
So we have watched season 5, episode 15, called Crossing the Line.
Oh, what would this one be about, I wonder?
Yeah. January 11th, 1984. And I'm going to, before I even go on, I have to ask Trenell, does that mean something? Crossing the line other than the typical everyday use of, we had an agreement and you crossed a line. Is there this is an episode, let's do a full spoiler alert. This is an
Yeah.
episode about racism.
That's why I'm here.
Yes. Because when I think of racism, I say, Trenell, get over here. But crossing the line, I have to say, more than once since I've watched this episode, I've thought, what does this title mean? And how does this relate to the show? Does it mean, forgive me, but is that a black thing that I don't know?
I don't think it's a black thing. If it is, I just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then it makes it even, and I did look it up. I did look up to say, oh, maybe it's, is it in the Urban Dictionary for the kids? And no, it was not. So I'm like, it's so weird. I do not know what line is established in this episode. I do not know when it is crossed, nor do I understand who did the crossing.
Well, I mean, I would think that it's like the crossing, like the racial divide, I guess. But
Yeah, okay.
yeah, we wanted a witty name, so
I guess, but it's just, I feel like the other thing would be if this were like an episode about a picket line, like if there was a strike,
yeah,
then this could have a good double meaning. But I mean, I don't know. I think it, like bridging the gap, if you want a better cheesy subpar title, it's like it's one thing that the titles are shitty. At least they're applicable. At least they have been up until now.
Yeah, when you sent, I know you sent me the link, and you said what the name of the title was, but I forgot, and I was like, I wonder if this title is something like "Guess Who's Coming to Dinner Again?" or
Yes, it was one that I did want to save for you because we have discussed that you are totally cool with my use of you as, for lack of better terms, a token.
Yes, I'm your black up, and I'm here to, I'm here to make sure you don't get out of pocket. And
yeah, exactly. You make sure I don't cross the line, because as a white guy, I'm the first to say I am awful and we are awful. So
oh, not all of you.
Yeah,
we've got a list.
Dude, oh my God, I always suspected.
Yeah, we've been compiling that bad boy for a while.
Oh, awesome. So let's get to some of the business about this episode before we get into the microscopic dissection that I love to do. The episode was directed by Mark W. Travis. Now, this is the only Facts of Life episode that he ever directs. It's a one-off, and he only has a smattering of credits. He has like 7 directing credits, 5 acting credits, and that's it. His IMDb page is very sparse. And remember, this is one of the rare episodes not directed by Asad Kalada, which we assume he either demanded a vacation after a season and a half without a break, or he went into rehab. Either could very well be possible. And it was written by Andy Borowitz. He has written before. This is his 4th of 5 episodes that he writes for the Facts of Life in its history. And, when you want a play about race relations, you get a Jewish guy. But he is the Jewish guy who would go on to create The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
So,
because I saw his name, when his name popped up, I'm like, that name seems familiar to me.
That was, if you watch Fresh Prince, that was on the created by credit. So I don't know. Is there honorary awards within the community?
We used to, but they just it got out of hand. So we just, nip it in the bud now. Just it's like maybe you'll get like a thumbs up from across the room. Like, you good, but no more honorary.
And Andy Borowitz's previous episodes were Gamma Gamma or Bust, Small But Dangerous, and Store Games. 3 episodes with which I have a lot of issues. So this is very on brand for him, that he is a competent Facts of Life scriptwriter, but wow, we have a lot of notes that will be going back in the time machine when it
Yeah.
is invented.
Yes. I have my little notebook here.
Hmm. Yes. Well, before we begin, you know the drill, Trenell. I have to ask you, as my guest, if you would please give a short 1 to 2 sentence synopsis about the entire episode, similar to what you would see in a TV guide.
All right. Let me see. In this week's episode of Facts of Life, we find out if love is really blind or colorblind.
Oh, damn. Slam dunk. Right there.
Thank you.
Beautifully done. Yes. Well, the first thing we must start off with is if you watch the episode online, as Trenell did, there
Hmm.
are 2 minutes and 30 seconds at the beginning that are cut from the show because the version that's on Daily Motion is the syndicated rerun version. So
Okay.
there's the better part of 3 minutes missing. And I am such a nerd, I pull it up and play it simultaneously with the DVD. I actually line them up. And then if the episode strays, if anything changes, boom, it's right there and I catch it. And that's stuff I love to obsess over. So
Yeah.
here we go. So the beginning of the full-length episode
Hmm.
starts at Edna's Edibles, and it is decked out in beautiful wintertime decorations.
Hmm.
We've got white tinsel and icicles. It looks like Elsa threw up in the store. And that looks very pretty. It really
Yeah.
does. We had them decked out for Christmas 3 weeks ago, which also looked gorgeous in the store. But then we had nothing for 2 weeks. And now we're suddenly back, but it's just generic winter. And then it will go away and never to be seen again.
Huh.
Just pointing that out. Blair is happily laying out tablecloths. And you notice that there are additional tables set up in this shop. We've talked so many times about what is Edna's Edibles. It's a gourmet food store. I'm
Yes.
using air quotes for that. But
Yes.
we have used that as an excuse for them to serve homemade bratwurst like they're a butcher, for them to serve baked goods like a bakery. They've served sandwiches like they're a Subway. And this is another one of those things where there's always tables in the shop for people to sit down and eat something, I guess. But we've always kind of been dancing around this restaurant idea as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what their kitchen looks like. I mean, how do like when people show up, how do they know what they're going to eat? It was Edna Edibles the first kind of pop-up kind of restaurant.
I mean, yeah, I get the sort of delicatessen counter service. Oh, let me go up. I'd like a slice of quiche, please.
Yes.
Are you going to eat that here or go with you? I mean, kind of, like it's like a coffee shop without the coffee. And God knows they had a lot of coffee back at Eastland. Thank God they didn't carry that over. I'd be losing my mind.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's just that thing of, okay, well, this week, apparently, we are acting more like a restaurant. And the extra tables, at least I think they're extra. It doesn't look like there was ever this many before. But Blair is all cheery and singing to herself. And on the flip side, Joe, not
Yes.
happy.
Not happy at all. You have to wait on the ones of people in that.
The unwashed masses, or I don't know. Joe's gripe, and Blair does accuse her of being a Grinch, so it's like, okay, we are still in the holiday season. We're still at least addressing that Christmas was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But Joe says, I'm all for this winter carnival.
Yes.
That's what the event is that is precipitating all of this activity. But Joe says, I don't see why it means we have to be waiting tables all weekend. Joe is not excited about the concept of having to serve other people.
Yeah, I really I had a hard time trying to figure out why she just thought it was outlandish and why she was so angry about it. And I assumed because I hadn't seen the other lead up um episodes, I'm like, am I missing something? Why is she so mad about this?
Nope. It was just we needed to create opposing viewpoints for Blair and Joe. And it does give them some good jokes back and
Yeah.
forth, but
Because
we need to.
she does work there, right?
Yeah, they all work there. Yeah. And she lives there. They all live there.
Okay. Okay, Joe. Okay, Joe.
Exactly. It's like I don't get this either. As far as Joe has at times become like a general manager, like a self-appointed manager of the store, and
Hmm.
been very good at it. Part of me is kind of like, um, she should be the happy one,
Yes.
excited that this is a thing that's going to bring in more business, and you get more foot traffic, and that may bring in some more long-term clientele. That would you think would be Joe's happy place. And on the flip side, you'd think Blair, as the rich girl who has never had to wait on another person, you'd think this would be Blair's negative place to exist.
Exactly. And I didn't get it. I was immediately lost by that whole story.
Yes. So this is uh so then and also you're not wrong to be lost, because everything I've described so far, you haven't even seen that. We're
Oh,
still getting to the point where your episode began. Uh,
oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, okay.
yeah, no,
And
this is the part that's missing. This is why you're like, huh? And the thing is, it doesn't explain that much. It justifies where they are, but it doesn't make sense.
yeah, it
Still,
still doesn't, even though, yeah,
yeah,
it doesn't help. It doesn't help. The missing part didn't help. That's probably why it was cut.
yeah. So Joe also complains that Tootie and Natalie, for some reason, don't have to be involved with it. Maybe because they're still high school students and they're commuting to and from a boarding school,
Yes.
which never made sense to me. I will say that every week. So the reason why Tootie and Natalie are not able to be a part of this is Tootie has a visitor. You know, when someone comes up and visits you, you don't have to fulfill any of your obligations.
No.
Yeah,
It's FMLA.
exactly. But Tootie's cousin Michael is up for the weekend, and he is there because he's thinking of going to Langley next year. So that means Michael is a senior in high school
Yep.
currently. And Natalie is with them, tagging along with some boy named Harvey.
Who is Harvey? Is
We,
he okay?
we
So we don't
never
know.
see him before or since.
Okay.
No, no.
Okay.
But Mrs. Garrett makes a very funny comment. He's nice in a training wheels sort of way.
Because I was like, I don't remember this child. Who is he? Why is he
That's
with them?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a special needs joke that's just dancing a little close to,
Oh, oh, yeah. I didn't
don't you
get that.
think?
Yeah, a little bit. Again, it's just baffled that he was there. Like, man, I haven't seen this in so long. I don't remember this, I guess, supporting cast of Harvey before.
Yeah, you're not wrong. These are all just one-off characters for the purpose of this episode. So then, now we begin the episode that you saw and that the world can see at Daily Motion if you do not have the DVDs. And it begins with the point when people are starting to come into the shop, and Blair is pulling Joe aside and says, "Now, Joe, waitressing is a difficult art to master, but I can teach you."
Why would Blair know how to?
Thank you. And
Yeah.
thankfully, it does come up later, a
Yeah.
little bit later, where Joe says, "You know, my mom is a waitress. I know what it involves." And I have this in my notes. Joe's mother is a waitress. They make a big fucking deal out of it. But anyway, that's just a weird thing. So this is where the episode starts. And so really all you know at this point is they're waitresses. Ta-da!
Yay.
Then in comes Tootie and Natalie with their respective dates. Natalie has Harvey with her, and Tootie has Jeff. We haven't seen Jeff since we first met him several weeks ago.
Yeah, I vaguely remember Jeff. I'm like, okay, cool, 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 cool.
Todd Hallowell, the actor who plays Jeff. This
Hmm.
is the second time we see him. He will make 8 total appearances, including the ones down the road when they're full on engaged and meeting each other's families and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, when we met him before, remember, he was illiterate. That was the episode about illiteracy.
That's right.
Hmm. So there's no mention made here other than he just seems to be a boy still going to Bates, still in his senior year of high school. We will be tracking that very closely in future appearances to see if any mention is made of him getting help with his reading and writing.
Oh, I forgot that he couldn't read and write.
Yes. Isn't that
Oh,
crazy? Yes. And then the fifth wheel to this group, literally the fifth person with these two couples, is Tootie's cousin Michael, played by actor Peter Parros, Parros. Number one, a very attractive young man.
that's a tall drink of water right there.
And look at his IMDb. He still looks amazing. He is a hot 60-year-old.
Ooh,
I would hit that.
I'm gonna look him up. Continue what you're talking. I can do.
Yes. Okay. All right. Peter Parros would go on to do 21 episodes of Knight Rider, and he would really seem to find his niche in soap operas. He has multiple episode runs in the soap operas, including, but not limited to, The Young and the Restless, Santa Barbara, One Life to Live, As the World Turns.
Oh, he was good. Oh, I got him. Hey, Zaddy. Hey.
Yeah. he's
Oh, look
he's
at him.
hot.
He's leaning against a brick wall with his arms folded.
I tell you, I'll post pictures on the website, but there is a man who has aged like a fine wine. Damn.
Aged well.
Uh-huh.
Okay, back to the family
Yeah,
situation.
After me sliding out of my chair here. He currently is on a show called The Haves and the Have-Nots.
This Tyler Perry.
Right, on the OWN network. That's one of
Yeah.
those shows, and it is in its 7th season and still going. It's still in its run.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy him on this show. He doesn't have a lot to do. He's not in a lot of it, but he is just so nice and charming.
Yes.
And perfectly cast. Perfect. And before we continue with the plot, we do need to talk about Harvey, this nerdy kid.
Who he looked familiar, like he's been in stuff.
Uh-huh. You might recognize him, Trenell, as the oldest of the 3 kids on Mr. Belvedere.
That's where and the fact that I remember Mr. Belvedere within itself is weird because
Yeah. In this case, thank God I'm too old. I did not watch her have to be dealt with Mr. Belvedere, no.
I loved Mr. Belvedere.
After that stint on Mr. Belvedere, he did go on and act, but he has in more recent years been producing and writing and directing.
Ah, good for him.
Yeah, and his name, I forgot to say, is Rob Stone. And, yeah, it's so weird to see, like, kids and teenagers and stuff. He's 57. He's older than I am. And yet he's immortalized as this nerdy teenager with post-nasal drip. And I left my inhaler and my retainer and my extra glasses in the other room.
And my name is Harvey. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, just the fact that his name is Harvey. It's
like his parents set him up for failure. Like there was no way that he could not wind up that.
But yeah, he is really stereotypically to the point where he has to actually leave because he isn't feeling well. Oh, and what happened is that somebody threw a snowball that hit him in the face, and he just has not been able to recuperate.
Could not cope.
Yeah. When they asked to take his order, he says, "Do you have nose drops?"
Oh, Harvey.
Oh, Harvey.
And the spin-off series, Oh, Harvey.
And honestly, I might add a bless after that. It's just, oh, bless. Yeah, there's even a running joke of he is so incapable of understanding and comprehending when people are being humorous. He asks if people would raise their right hand to signal when they're joking versus when they're being serious. This is some spectrum behavior. Am I correct?
Yeah. We'll look at Facts of Life being like, on the cutting edge of just inclusivity in a cast.
We thought this was the racism episode, Trenell.
No,
it might be talking about early warning signs that there may be some being on the spectrum, particularly when you cannot pick up on social cues of other people.
That is actually kind of interesting to be a little serious because, this is something we dealt with when we were growing up. We didn't know anything about those kids. So
No.
that might be it. Oh, look at that.
That could be it.
This show did not. Maybe this show did not age well.
That couldn't be Trenell. How dare you?
Oh, this Facts of Life is aging great.
We are watching trails being blazed. But interestingly, no sooner is he gone, that Jeff turns right around and says, "Hey, Natalie, you got plans for later? You want to do dinner?" And Natalie thankfully is like, "Well, clearly you've watched my date walk out on me, so you know I'm free." And he says, "I'm going into the city in the morning, so tonight is kind of my last night in town." And so, yeah, he jumps right in there, to his credit.
Yeah, he saw an opening and he's like a guy at the bar, saw the other guy leave, like, gonna get in there.
Yeah.
He got up in there.
Yeah, but he does it in a friendly way.
Yes.
It's not skeevy. We don't want people to get the wrong idea.
No,
it's
wholesome.
Well, the next scene we go. And the scene ends with a joke about, well, let's get to eating, and they all yell over to Joe, "Oh, waitress, yahoo!" to piss Joe off.
Mad about her job. Like, you literally have one job, and that's to take orders. And
yeah, come on. And it's not like it's an extensive menu where you have to make sure the lobster thermidor comes out hot with the steak tartare. You're getting a goddamn slice of quiche and a fucking croissant. And you're walking it from a deli case to a table that is maybe at best 20 feet away.
Yes.
Come on. The next scene, we're in the living room now. This is the house behind the shop. I don't know if you caught the geography of that.
Yeah.
But they come in later. And so this is Natalie and Michael coming in from their date. And there's all kinds of really sweet getting to know you banter. It's a lovely date type stuff. It's really, really nice. And a very funny line. It's like one of those, we can use a line like this in an episode like this, where he talks about his mother being overbearing and never happy.
Yeah.
And she says, "Wow, do we have the same mother?" And he says, "The odds are against it."
Yeah, because you're white.
Yeah.
And I'm black. Not the fact that we've never met, and no, the odds are definitely against.
Yeah, definitely. So it's really nice, and they have a nice time, and he leaves, and Tootie, we realize, has been eavesdropping on the stairs
in a house coat.
What fuck was that? In my notes, Trenell, ugly nightgown, bathrobe. Ugly nightgown covered by an ugly bathrobe.
Is she in her auntie's or Mrs. Garrett's house coat?
We've talked about this before, just not dressing a person right for their body type.
Yes.
Because Kim Fields is so busty. When you put her in something like that, she just looks like this gigantic tube.
And I think probably they just didn't want to give her like a regular nightie or something, because it will accentuate her womanly figure. So instead of making her look like a developing young woman, they just dressed her like a 80-year-old woman and just try to hide it.
Yeah, and she's 14 at this point. She's getting to the point where they can start thinking a little bit farther ahead we do need to dress her like a young lady, a girl, not like a big child.
Oh my God, that house. That house coat. I was like, ugh.
Triple E cup size. But the thing is, Tootie starts prodding Natalie for more details of the date, and Natalie says, "No, I'm not going to tell you." And playfully they run upstairs, and Tootie chases her, and that's the end of the scene, really. It's just the sense that the date went well, and Tootie is happy about it.
Yeah.
Let's put a pin in that.
Yeah,
and Tootie is happy about it. Okay, next we're back in the shop. Blair is sending people away. We assume this is another day. I think they tell us. I just can't remember. But she is really happy with her work, still loving being a waitress, but her feet are very tired. And Joe is starting to come around because Joe is realizing that tips are a lot of servers' income, and she's doing really well. And the discovery is Blair is not doing as well. So suddenly the dynamic has shifted where it's a win for Joe and a lose for Blair.
Which makes absolutely no sense why Joe is getting more tips. She's miserable.
It's so true. Who would tip that? I mean,
she shook him down. She didn't get tips.
So here's an interesting little thing that happens. Ring, ring, the phone. Up by the front counter in the cash register, it's Michael on the phone. Tootie answers and says he wants to talk to you, Natalie. And Natalie says, I'll take it in the other room. So Natalie goes into the house, picks up the phone by the couch, and says, oh, like, okay, I got it. So hang up the extension. I'm like, what? Wait a second here.
Wait.
Are you telling me that there is only one phone for both the business and for their personal use at the house? That does not make any sense to me.
Does not track at all.
I'm sorry, I don't have any examples yet displaying that the numbers are different. I'm not saying this contradicts anything. I'm just saying that the conceit that we have one phone number for these girls to get boyfriend calls, to get calls for dates, things to do with school and all that, that's a phone line shared with a place of business? No. Mrs. Garrett should have her own line for Edna's Edibles, and then there should be a house phone they use for personal stuff.
She needs to take a business seminar or something. Just
it's almost like it's like her son just bought a building and threw it at her and said, "Here, you're a businesswoman now."
Oh,
because that's what happened.
She had a child.
She what?
I forgot she had a kid. I mean, is that how it?
Two sons. Yep.
Yep. Forgot about them because she's locked in on these girls.
Yeah, exactly. These are the daughters she never had. It's like, careful what you wish for, lady.
They're never leaving.
Yes. So then we go into the we're fast approaching the end of the act here already.
Yeah.
And we go into the living room, and Natalie is on the phone with Michael saying, this weekend, you're asking me to come to New York and visit you. Well, and she says, where would I stay? Oh, yeah, my parents do live in New York. It's true. Very true. It's like, yeah, you'd stay at your parents' house, honey. But then she kind of gives some clearly made up lame, this weekend's not good, maybe another time. Tootie and I have a lot of plans.
Which doesn't make any sense to lie like that, because Tootie is literally right there.
Hovering. And as soon as she hangs up the phone, Tootie's like, what the fuck? You don't have anything going on this weekend. And Natalie's like, well, I do, and I got this. And Tootie's like, mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And she's like, and I got this other thing going on. And Tootie's like, mm-hmm. And so suddenly these mm-hms start taking on a little bit of different meaning for Natalie. And then Natalie quickly turns and says, whoa, it has nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
Is the wording she uses. I know what you're thinking, and I'm insulted. I'm going to call him, and I'm going to tell him that I'm going to go. So there. And I might even buy a new dress. So ha. And she dials the phone, and we go to commercial. There were movies in the 1950s, Trenell, where they had to allude to homosexuality or sex work or something like that. And they've danced around it by saying, oh, it's not that. It's not what you're thinking. What we hope the audience is also thinking, it's this other thing. But I can't say what that first thing is because you don't say it.
Yeah.
So it is kind of weird that this show, which is going to continue to develop into a show about racism, that it is weird that there isn't a sense of Natalie saying, what, Tootie, you don't think I'm saying no to him because he's black? Like, I don't think that would have been out of line at all for her to say that.
No, I don't think so, but it would have made the episode a whole lot shorter. I think, because I had the similar thought, like, why would they just tiptoe and tap dance around it? And I think it was for the audience think, well, we think it's this reason, but maybe it's not. But we know it is. And like, are they gonna ever come to head? I think the climax is, it was written like that, so the climax is actually saying it out loud.
Yeah, maybe they said because when they go to commercial, if nothing else, the audience is going to be like, "What is she talking about?"
Yes.
Maybe
yes.
I need to sit through the Preparation H commercials and figure it out.
Yes, David, it's called suspense.
Wow. Well, you certainly suspended something here, Mr. Writer Man. While I have you, we're at commercial break now, and we've discussed you personally and your life and your career and all that when you've been on the show before. But I figure while I have you, it probably would be a good opportunity to ask you regarding all the recent uproar, the whole Black Lives Matter, I don't want to say movement, I should say resurgence, refocusing, and all that. I'm just wondering, how are you in all of this?
I am fine, because the interesting thing about the Black Lives Matter, it's not new to me. This is something that I have dealt with my entire life. It's just people are paying more attention now. We have, I guess, more proof. So on one hand, I wish we were further along as a nation. On the other hand, I'm not surprised, but I'm happy that more white people are getting involved. I have been like kind of screaming this stuff in different ways for, like, I feel like my entire life, and sometimes your voice gets hoarse, so it's kind of good to have someone else do the heavy lifting. And like, because if you look at it, it's not really, the black people problem is not a black people problem.
No,
it's a white people problem.
Exactly.
Or the non-black. It's the majority problem. It's the holders of the powers problem. Like, I can't fix, quote unquote, y'all got to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, we got to fix ourselves. Yeah. And yet so many people, like the whole all lives matter thing is like, ugh. When it's like, that is, when people say all lives matter, that is just tantamount to saying, whatever, I cannot perceive black people as special.
Yes.
In any way, positive, negative, whatever.
Yes, you can't.
I can't single those people out.
Yeah.
And
the all life matter things makes me so upset, because if someone says, but all lives matter, and you explain to them why that's not cool, and they still fight you on it, they have ulterior motives.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
It's not coming from a pure place, because
Yes.
Yeah.
I found there's of the many, many memes that went in there, and shit, I was going to find it, but it's the one that basically says, after the bombing of the Boston Marathon, it was Boston Strong. That's what we all did to support that community in light of that tragedy. It was Boston Strong. It wasn't other people saying, well, other cities are strong too. Yeah. Why aren't we, all cities matter. And it's like, no, that's just what we're casting the spotlight on right now.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the other things don't exist and that they don't have any light on them whatsoever. It just means the focused light is on this thing.
Yeah, another meme I saw, and it's not the entire meme, and I'm probably going to get it a little bit wrong, is like, well, we say Black Lives Matter because when it was written that all men are created equal, it didn't take. So we had to...
Yeah. In the 70s, George Carlin, in his stand-up, would get a slow wave of applause when he would say, our country was founded by slave owners who wanted to be free. Mm. And you hear the ha 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 ha. Oh, wow, and then that slowly, if you hear it on whatever album that's on, it's a slow boil. But it does bubble over where people go, fuck, this is the truth.
Yeah. I think some people are just, they're uncomfortable with change. Like, they don't want to be like outwardly racist, but to admit that our country is a country founded upon like discrimination and racism, that kind of almost bursts the bubble of the American dream where everybody has the same opportunities. And it's just not true. And it's like kind of, it's like when we found out that I don't even know where we are now. Pluto is a planet. It isn't. Like the first time they told us
yes.
that Pluto wasn't a planet, I'm like, no, you have the proof, but no, it's still a planet. And I fought it, and I think it's like that kind of same like, nope, can't. Mm-hmm. And besides, if things change, and my life is fairly decent now, if it changes, what if my life gets worse? Like with sharing equality, I might not benefit from.
Yeah, another meme that goes around says something like, you realize sharing equality, giving equality to people who don't have it doesn't mean you have less.
Yeah,
doesn't mean it's like, it's not pie. There's enough for everybody.
It's like they're afraid that we're like, okay, now it's your turn to pick the cotton. I mean, it's not gonna happen. Yeah. I think they're afraid of retaliation of some sort. I don't know.
That's it. I thought of a sketch idea. I thought, wouldn't it be a funny sketch idea nowadays to have a director of a movie about Charlie Manson where the extra casting agent fucked up and has some people of color among Charlie's family. One of Charlie's big tenets was, the black people are going to rise up and take over and we need to stop it. It's a race war. That was one of his things. So it's like to have to be the director saying, okay, actors, like you, Trenell, I know you were cast to be one of the people here at the compound, but I can't use you and I have to let you go. So in essence, I'm firing you because you're black.
But not what you think, though.
Yes, but it's not what you think. It's not what you think. I always thought that would be a fascinating dynamic where, anyway.
And I would be like, do I still get paid for the day?
Yeah, we'll pay you. We'll pay you. We're done. Then we're done. Yeah.
We're good here.
Yeah. I have said nothing about this. And every podcast I listen to, every one of them had to weigh in on it. And let's get real here. All the podcasts I listen to are white people talking. And all of them felt the need to weigh in. And I mean, I put up a couple of things on social media, but back to that, the thoughts and prayers thing, how that becomes a, what about me? I can't imagine. I feel it so ew. It felt so gross for me to say, I, David, as basically a white man of privilege, feel I need to say a few things about this situation. I'm becoming a pissy homosexual in the process. I'm just like, listen, did you not see Bowling for Columbine? Did you not see when Marilyn Manson sitting there in his makeup, dressed like the fucking freak he is, and Michael Moore says, what would you say to those kids if you were in the room with them now? And he says, I wouldn't say anything. I would listen to them.
Yeah. Sometimes it gets to the point where the allies are talking a little louder than like.
Yeah. And
it's like, don't Columbus the situation.
Yeah, it's just weird. And my thought is, of all people, mine is not a voice that needs to be one more in the camp of, I need to say this. I believe institutionalized racism is bad and wrong.
Yeah, it is such a fine line because you do want to show support. And I don't know what the line is because sometimes I be reading things and I'm like, this is too much, y'all. You're doing too much. Just call your family out on Thanksgiving when they say something stupid.
Yeah, at the very least, just say, whoa, not cool. Come on. It's, and just, the other thing is there was an episode of Donahue in the 80s, and it was about racism. And I think it was some white woman who was part of a civil rights group or something. And she admitted that previously she was a rampant, active racist.
Oh, wow.
Like she had a change of whatever. And Phil Donahue said, so since you're not a racist anymore, and she went, Phil, I'm going to stop you right there. And she went, I am a racist.
Yeah.
We are all racists. My job is to realize that about myself, to understand it, and do everything by God that I'm able to do to try and change the way I think. And it was, a huge, this is in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I kind of have to agree with her. I'm more inclined to say I am a racist.
Yeah.
We all are. We all have a fear of the other. And it's just a matter of the biggest solution, the basic solution we can all do. And now here I am, the white guy, weighing in on it anyway.
Tell me what we should do.
Yeah, here's Trenell, how you people can fix your problem.
Thank you.
But no, it's the white people. It's everybody just needs to at least acknowledge that, not even racial prejudice, all prejudices,
Yes.
that we all have prejudices, and we can just, even for a few seconds, every now and then, re-examine them and say, where is that coming from and how useful is that?
Yeah, I mean, like, I hate, and I've hated it for years, this saying that I don't see color being very, very, very annoying. That's not new. We've been annoyed with that for like decades. Because and I've probably posted this so many times, the same mentality of like, I don't see color, because that's for you. That's saying like, in order for you to see me as a human being or equal, you have to completely erase the fact that I am black. That's the only way you can do it. Instead, it's not that you see color. It's what you think when you see it. So please see me.
I've seen you when you've posted that, and I feel like, didn't you actually say the words, see me and my color?
Yeah,
like the idea is my color is a part of who I am.
Yeah,
Why would you say you don't see that?
Yeah, this is my whole identity. And plus, you're lying. You are lying.
That's right. It's so true. Yes.
You are lying.
Yeah. Well, thank you for talking to me about that. This is stuff that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
And, but it's just, like I said, final word about it is I'll go on record saying, everyone in the world, everyone I meet, everyone listening to this podcast, you are a racist. And that's okay if you acknowledge it and maybe give it some thought about what you might do to fix it.
Yeah, except the fact that you have some biases with people, and just try to be better. Just be best.
Be best. Oh,
I'm going to gargle with Clorox. I can't believe. Oh.
So, to recap, the answer to our racial injustice and institutionalized racism, according to Trenell Mooring, is the theory espoused by our First Lady, Melania Trump. Ooh, it feels gross saying that name. Ugh. And honestly, to me, the good that comes from everything, there's always good that comes with the bad. We got more Laura Benanti on The Daily Show.
Well, of course.
The Late Show.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have, we're back with the facts of life.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Yes, indeed. A perfect segue. That is what you get when you are a guest 3 times on this show. So then we come back from commercial. There is a little cut portion at the beginning of the act where Natalie is moving some sort of a desk to, I guess they're rearranging the store post-Winter Festival.
Yeah.
And there is this mechanically businesslike, Tootie, will you help me move this desk? And then there's kind of a, yes, fine. And they do them, thank you, you're welcome. And walking away. They're being overly polite and businesslike with each other. And the other girls do talk about that in the time that has passed. I don't know how long this could be, because I think the weekend still hasn't happened yet. But they talk about how there's a question if they're speaking to each other. They're being very curt. And Blair and Joe are like, we can't take it any longer. And Mrs. Garrett comes in saying Natalie bit her head off when she went to ask her.
Yeah.
And so Joe comes up with the solution that Natalie can't go out with the cousin and says Mrs. Garrett needs to tell her. And she's like, Mrs. Garrett's like, this is none of my business. And so Blair, taking the opposing viewpoint, is like, whoa. Shouldn't she go into New York and spend the weekend with a boy that she likes? So now Joe gets into her street smarts talk.
That line.
Joe says, same thing. It's not that. There are good reasons. But then she stammers and says she can't say it. Who says that? Is that Blair? No.
Oh, well, they do the thing where they kind of like, it's not, I don't think, but it is, and it's just like this, like it's not me, it's them, and I'm just trying to
Yeah.
help. And
Yeah, and Joe particularly is, for at least at the very least, Joe is one of the few who's at least addressing it
yes,
directly.
yes,
Where she says, "Look, I don't have a problem with it."
yeah,
Danger. But she says there are narrow-minded jerks out there who do care. And where I come from, this is the Bronx,
yeah,
black and white couples end up black and blue.
yes,
Wow.
yeah, I know. So finally, someone says it, sorta.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually,
And
that's pretty straight out. Yeah,
yes. And let's pause a moment, because why are Tootie and Natalie mad at each other? What's going on? I mean, am I right that there was a conflict here, but there's not a I'm mad at you, I'm mad at you. It's like a sitcom trope of, well, I'm not going to apologize until she apologizes. Well, she's not going to apologize to me. I'm not sure what.
Well, when I saw it, I assumed that Natalie was offended that Tootie thought she was a racist, and Tootie is mad because it felt like she's using her cousin. That's the first thing, like, oh, you're using my cousin to
Make a statement.
that
you're not a racist.
Yeah, that's why I figured they were mad at each other. But it's still
Okay.
it's
And you're not wrong. Honestly, now that you say it that way, I'm like, okay, that you did justify it. I wish it might have been a little more explicitly stated.
yeah.
I mean, Natalie did say, I'm offended, but I am going to go. And maybe, okay, so Natalie said, I am offended. Tootie, how could you think that about me? And the thing, it could have been added. And then when she goes back to call,
Yeah.
Tootie can say, I thought you said you didn't want to. Well, I want to now. Well, why did you not want to before?
Yeah.
And why do you want to now? And she's like, are you trying to make some sort of a statement to me? And they could have been a little more explicit and built up more actual true tension and conflict before we went to commercial. That totally could have read and been fine.
Yeah, but they also had to keep it a little vague because of what happens at the ending, like with their little heart to heart. Because I had problems. I had problems with that.
You and me both, my dear.
I
Yes.
did. I was like, what?
Yeah. So the phone rings. And by the way, the phone does not ring in the store. It rings in the other room. So it's not an extension when it was before. Anyhow, but it's Michael on the phone. Mrs. Garrett answers, I believe. And it's like, do you want to talk to one of the girls? He's like, no. And Mrs. Garrett's side of the conversation reveals that he wants to send Natalie flowers because she has tonsillitis and is in the hospital. And Natalie overhears this and she's like, what the shit? So then she grabs the phone and she's like, what? No. What? I'm fine. Oh, Tootie called you and told you.
Tootie.
That it's like, I don't know what Tootie thought that was going to buy her.
Look at her, just cock blocking. Just cock blocking.
Which is not the first time she's done that. She's done that before. So, Natalie is so mad.
I would be
Natalie
too.
is so mad. She walks downstage left away from the person she's mad at so that she is a distance away with her back to them, like they always do on television.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyhow, it ends up upstairs in the girls' bedroom. So finally, Natalie confronts Tootie and she says to her, why did you do that? Why did you call Michael and tell him that? And Tootie says, well, because you really don't want to go. You only changed your mind to look liberal. And Natalie starts doing the awful white people thing.
Well,
listing her credits of non-racism incidents. And there are more of them. Some of them are cut out of the rerun version that you saw, Trenell. So what you did not hear was she says, my family was the first liberal family in our building. My father insisted on making our maid call him by his first name. and come in through the front door. And her argument is, on a rainy day, my mom wouldn't even let me do that. And then she goes into, now this is in the episode you saw, her dad hired a black receptionist, and he would actually host wine and cheese parties for black militant sculptors. I listened to it more than once.
Yep.
The words she says are black militant sculptors. Is that a thing, Trenell?
I guess. I just, in my head, I also felt so bad. It was just like very intense clay work. Not just quote unquote normal black sculptors. These are militant sculptors.
Yeah, they are super black, these guys.
Yeah, they like really want like rights and stuff. I mean.
Yeah, Malcolm X
Yes.
and, you know, Dr. King and all that, like militant black sculptors.
Yeah.
You wonder if it was supposed to be military? Black military sculptors?
No, I think they meant militant because they're liberals, so.
Yeah. Maybe it's just it was a poor choice of words when it meant to just be activists. The idea
yes,
of...
I think that's what it, well, you know, protesters are all rioters and looters, so that kind of thing, like.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't think that's a comfortable pairing of words for most white people, is using the words black and militant in the same sentence. That seems to me something that would be a little scarier to middle America.
They probably just had on a dashiki and they thought they're scary.
They look like Danny Glover at the Oscars.
Yes.
And they were like, oh, wow.
Oh, they're militant.
It's very strange. Last week we had this situation where Mrs. Garrett used the word arbitrary in a way that was literally the opposite. It was speaking in a very particular way in a particular situation, but she says, I've never spoken before in an arbitrary manner. And it's like that. I said it to Ginger Honey last week. I said, you keep using that word. I don't think it means, or what do you think it means?
Yes, I love that. Well done, Princess Bride reference.
Yes, you're welcome. So this is another one where I think the word black militant sculptors might have had a different, better word at their disposal. And there were several. Let's say there were several words. Yeah. But Tootie comes back with, those are just gestures.
Yeah.
Those are things you did because they want to look good, not because they wanted to. So then we get to the heart-to-heart.
Yeah.
This is where Natalie says, look, when I went out with him, I realized I like him. I like him very much. And I thought, this could really lead to something. And then when he called me to actually spend the weekend together, I thought, oh, this could really lead to something. And then she comes clean. To her credit, she says, I know this sounds weird, but the truth is, if I brought Michael home, my mother wouldn't exactly break out the macaroons.
Yeah, so all this, Trudy was right, because gestures, like you only accept it to a point. Yeah.
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 But it's good in the sense of her saying, it's not that I have a problem with him. It's this, I know that there's a lot more baggage that comes with getting into something like this. And honestly saying, I don't know if I have the ability to handle all that.
It did remind me of something because, everybody who didn't have a problem with it was worried about somebody who did have a problem with it. And it would be interesting, like, did her mom really have a problem with it? Or was she worried with other people and it just keeps on going?
That's a cycle, yeah. And there's so much of it's not me, it's this thing, yeah.
We're worried about the other people, how I am viewed, yeah.
Yeah, and it's... And the macaroon reference, of course, Natalie is Jewish, just pointing that out.
Yes.
That's a nice little touch there. So then Tootie says, well, that's exactly why I did what I did. And Natalie's like, to make my mother happy. And Tootie, God bless her. I have said this before. We had another episode. It was the illiterate episode where Tootie, for all intents and purposes, plays the black card. Mm-hmm. And because that's not what she does, that's not the function she serves in the greater plot of the show as being the black character who always says the black lines. When they give Kim Fields things like this to say. It is so powerful.
Yeah.
And this gave me chills when she says, and I'm quoting verbatim now, why is it that whenever a white person dates a black person, everybody wonders how the white family feels? Never the black family. They figure, they'll be thrilled about it.
Exactly. And I really did like that line. I like that line because that is so true. It is so true. We should be so lucky.
Yeah. Exactly. You know, I'm doing him the solid for him and his people by dating a black guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Tootie drops another bomb on us here. Trenell.
Yeah.
She says, when my aunt married a white guy, the family wasn't exactly jumping for joy. And when they got divorced, everybody was grateful that there weren't any children. Do you know to whom she is referring?
What?
Do you remember Cameron Francis telling you about the episode he did with me about the backdoor pilot sitcom about the interracial couple?
Oh my gosh, I forgot.
Brian and Sylvia. Sylvia is Tootie's aunt.
Who married?
And so basically what Tootie is telling us is, that backdoor pilot from the end of season 2, Brian and Sylvia didn't make it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now that's sad, but you know what? Tootie's little confession, it made me so angry because it made 0 sense.
Bingo. Thank you.
It made 0 sense because she was trying to get them together. She was so happy that her friend was going to see. And I think the reason why they did that, I found it cheap because I guess they just wanted to show, hey, everybody's racist. Like, look, it made me so upset because I've been black all my life.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I will tell you from this one particular black person perspective, the reason why black families might have a problem with interracial relationships a lot of times is the possible violence that might happen for the actual, it's like a fear because, back in the day, men were lynched and it was awful. And I was just, I don't know. I was so annoyed with Tootie, like, because if she hadn't been so gung-ho about the relationship in the beginning, then I would feel like her commentary would be justified. But it just didn't make any sense at all. And I just think they wanted to make things kind of equal. See, everybody has problems like this. And I was like,
yeah, almost like it was intended to be a plot twist.
Yes. And it was
but it's number one, it's a stupid plot twist.
So
because
stupid.
The whole thing is like to call and cancel a weekend and say someone's not going to be there and they're in the hospital. Did you think Natalie wasn't going to find out?
It was.
Did you think how was she planning to physically keep Natalie in Peekskill and not have her go to New York and go to meet him? I mean, I don't know what her end game was there. That was a stupid idea for her to do that. But yeah, the fact that she was on, leaning on the staircase all, you two are getting along well, and tell me more, and chasing her up the stairs and all that stuff. It could have easily been played with Tootie being casual about it.
Yes.
Tootie just being cool. Like, oh, good, I'm glad you and Michael are getting along.
Oh,
That's
okay.
great.
Oh, you're going. Yeah. Subtlety is not a big thing on the Facts of Life, so I don't know how that could have played, but it just made no sense, and it made me kind of angry. I wish, I wish that Tootie's character would have gone the route of, this isn't easy for us either. This, violence, and there's certain ramifications when you are in it. You are the black person in an interracial relationship, and she didn't go that route. She was like, well, we hate interracial relationships too for the same exact reason. And it's just
yeah
and
so true.
It just made me mad, and it didn't make any sense.
More
It didn't make any sense.
This is a super writing fail in that Tootie was, by her actions and her deeds and her speech, Tootie was 100% on board. And another it could have been a thing of what was the name of the nerdy kid?
Harvey.
the subtlety could have been just like, oh, isn't that kind of weird? Is Harvey going to be kind of weirded out? I thought you were kind of seeing him. Isn't that weird? And then Natalie could even pull up, well, Michael and I are just friends. That's all. Okay, cool. Yeah, again, kind of dancing around, is something there, is something not there, and how do we feel about it?
Yeah, but she was just so gung-ho, and they're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it made me mad.
Yeah, and this doesn't need to necessarily be in the show, so feel free to refuse to answer or whatever.
No.
But, damn it. I shot myself in the foot. But literally something just now occurred to me, Trenell, is that you are married to a white person.
What? No, he's Italian. No.
Oh. But, yeah, so you're kind of speaking a little bit from experience here, in terms of, now how did your family feel about?
Well, okay,
him?
So I had dated a couple other white people before I got married, and I dated several black people. I just, I like some men, okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So before I had my first white boyfriend, I asked my mom. And and my dad. Well, did I ask my dad? I don't know. My dad was probably sitting on the couch watching Bonanza, not listening to me at all. But I was in my 20s, late 20s. And I was like, Mom, how do you feel about if I dated someone white? And she goes, oh, honey, I don't care. Just as long as you don't, start doing extreme sports like parachuting. She was like worried for my physical safety because she thought I was going to start taking like deep sea diving and bungee jumping. She's like, just don't do anything extreme sports. And anytime I think about that, I think of Stacy, because I told her that story. So sometimes if I look back on my Facebook, she would just have posted on my wall, extreme.
Oh, so, we talk about Stacy regularly on the show. Our dear departed friend Stacy.
Oh yeah,
yeah. If you want to hear all about Stacy, look for the episode Breaking Point, where Matthew and I talk a lot about the devastation of losing her and all that. But that is such a fucking Stacy thing to do.
Extreme. And like,
but the fact that. Go ahead.
When my son started taking skateboard lessons, she wouldn't let me hear the end of it. Extreme.
Oh, really?
Because, Yeah, so my parents...
Your parents were like, it's okay if you date a white boy, just please don't culturally start doing white things.
Don't look my dad into that madness. My dad did not say that. That was all Cookie Moore. Was all Cookie.
That was your mom.
That was and like in my family, there's I'm trying to think. Like my cousin married a white guy. I think there's because my mom had 11 brothers and sisters, so I have 1,000.
Woo!
I have a lot of cousins, and the ages run the gamut. So there's like a couple of those cousins that are in like the first half. Like I don't really know because they were so much older than me, but yeah, and yeah. And
so it wasn't really a thing. It wasn't really
at least not for my parents.
Deal.
It was like. Oh, and my dad's, duh. I have an Aunt Wendy. My dad's brother married a white lady. So, yeah. It was like, she's just that white lady.
Okay.
Yeah. And
well, that's cool. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That hasn't been a thing. And your son, Isaiah.
Yes.
My God. The entertainment value of all of the posts on your Facebook of what a funny kid he is and how precociously intelligent and funny he was as a toddler.
Yeah. He gets that from the black side. That's from the black side.
And by the way, Andrew, awesome and hot. Your hubby is easy on the eyes. I will say no more. So moving on from there, we really have very little else other than the two of them have this moment of, like you said, the artificial moment of, gee, I guess we both have a lot to learn about being racist.
Yeah.
And then they reaffirm their friendship.
Yes.
And it is nice.
Yeah.
Where Tootie says, I don't think my best friend is white. My best friend is Natalie.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's not a whole I don't see color thing, so I didn't mind that so much.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And it's okay if you can see color, but if it's not the first thing on the list, that's not bad.
It's not bad.
You know, to say Trenell is my awesome friend versus Trenell's my black friend.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that too. As long as you tell me it's okay that I am.
Today it is. We'll see how I feel about tomorrow.
I don't want to be on the list. I don't want to be on the list.
Well, at this point, you have to figure out how to get off the list.
And then the last thing is just Natalie just says, Tootie, you really are my bestest friend. And then they hug and that's it. And my last note that I have, so what is the line that has been crossed or was being... I really think similar to the wrong word thing.
Yeah.
It's like one of those idiomatic phrases where something's happening.
Yeah, I think it was just poorly chosen words. Like, basically the line is the black people stay on this side, the white people stay on that side, and I don't know. It wasn't a great title. It wasn't great. It wasn't necessarily a great show. So
no, the good thing is that it dealt with it at all. We have really never really dealt with the dynamic of Tootie and Natalie being best friends. And them being racially different.
So that's true. Like shows like The Jeffersons, that was about a black family moving on up. So that was this black family's story. Tootie just happened to be a little black girl in this situation. So even though it was it had some trash-like elements and didn't make any damn sense, and poor Harvey. I'm very happy that they do, tackle some of these issues.
Yes.
I was kind of bummed because I kind of wanted to see Natalie's dress that she bought.
That's right. She said she bought a new dress to go for the weekend with Michael. And more than that, we never hear about Michael again.
Nope.
I would have loved it if this had been for how much they were trying to break new ground with that awful Brian and Sylvia sitcom with the interracial couple, it being a show about it. Why couldn't they have said, why don't we have Natalie date Michael for a while? Why don't we make that a thing? Or the following season, if Michael decides to go to Langley, he would be in town. They could have totally made that a thing.
But they weren't going to do that. They weren't going to.
Yeah.
Even though they was going to touch on the subject, they were not have actually made that a show because they would be worried about sponsors. For real.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible, but it's right too. You're probably right. Well, I agree with you that this was not that great an episode. I think the idea was way better than the execution, but I am so glad it happened because it gave me a reason to have you back here with me on my show.
Yay! I'm here for all things black.
Yay! So, at the end, I know we've done this in the past, but I still want to do this. Name a commercial or a jingle or something from your youth that just pops to the front of your brain when I say, tell me a commercial. Go!
Oh, gosh. The Just For Me commercial.
Just For Me?
Yes.
Elucidate me.
Okay, so I think I thought of this because of this whole black issue. You know how a lot of black women straighten their hair because, European standard of beauty, blah blah blah, or aesthetics, whatever. We know where we know where it comes from. Anyway, there was this brand of relaxer called Just For Me, and it was just for kids. Like it was like it's a less harsh, so it was called Just For Me, and there was a jingle called Just For Me. Just for me. And these little black girls are just happy that they have their silky straight hair. So that was what
my God.
That's what popped in my
mind. So it was a product that specifically targeted young girls to straighten their hair.
Yeah. Because
my God.
The other one was so like it's harsh, and people would get like burns. I never got burnt, but they get just like my cousins would get like burnt on I'm like showing the viewers, and this is a podcast. The back of the back of their neck would like be burnt with like a scab because they just kept it in too long. And
Yeah. The Chris Rock documentary, Good Hair,
Yeah.
is fascinating. That was another great educational thing for white people. I recommend anybody to watch it. But yeah, the term they used, I believe, was the creamy crack.
I got off the creamy crack. Got to get off the creamy crack.
I got to find it. I'll post it on the website. And once again, in the words of William Shakespeare, going away is so sad. I have to say goodbye to you again. God, I hope we're able to be in the same room again sometime soon.
I know. I love not going anywhere, but I just miss people. I do miss people.
It would be nice. I'd love to be on a stage
Yeah.
playing with some people. I'd love to be performing with some other actors. That would be a very welcome thing right now.
Yeah.
But until then, thank you so much again, darling. Smooches and goodbye.
Thank you so much, David. Until next time.
And there you have it. That was Trenell Mooring, back for more. Love when she's on the show. This was her third time, and I hope I have her back at least 3 times more. Next week, I'm going to be watching Season 5, Episode 16, called All or Nothing. And my guest is going to be funny actress, amazing lady, writer, comedian, Lynne Ryder. Cannot wait for you to hear the show. She and I have a lot of fun. You can watch the episode for free at dailymotion.com. I'll post a link to the show in the show notes, and you can also find it on this episode's webpage. That's all for now. Thank you so much for listening to this week's show, and remember, the facts of life are all about you. Let's Face the Facts was produced, written, hosted, and edited by me, David Almeida. My theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Our website is facethefactspod.com. You have to drop the lets. And that's where you can find extra pictures, video, and audio extras from the digital cutting room floor. Follow the show on social media. We're everywhere under the handle Face the Facts Pod. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/FaceTheFactsPod. And don't forget, go to your favorite podcatchers and subscribe, rate, and review. Tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.